darkening sky above Geneva, split like torn fabric as Commander Curris's vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, her ship a sleek predator of dark metal and pulsing energy cast shadows across the city as it settled into a hover above the lake inside the command chamber. Kira adjusted her bio-armor, its midnight blue surface rippling with embedded circuitry that monitored her vitals and enhanced her already formidable strength. She was magnificent and terrible, 7F'd of lethal grace with skin that held an ethereal luminescence and eyes like molten silver. The Dominion had chosen her for this mission because she was their finest, emotionless, efficient, unstoppable. Humanity would be extinct. Within the hour begin planetary broadcast. She commanded, her voice carrying the authority of 1,000 conquered worlds across Earth. Every screen, every device capable of receiving signals, suddenly displayed her image. Thelian. Commander stood with perfect posture, her hands clasped behind her back, radiating cold authority. Inhabitants of the third planet, she began her accent-lending, otherworldly cadence to the carefully learned human languages. I am Commander Kira Zath of the Dominion of Varen. Your species has been evaluated and found insufficient. You have 5 of your minutes to cease all resistance before this world is cleansed for proper colonization. The transmission ended. Kira expected panic, perhaps some futile military response. What she didn't expect was the single human who appeared at her ship's energy barrier 20 minutes later. Dr. Adrian Cross stood just over 6 feet, tall, his sandy brown hair slightly disheveled from running, his blue eyes sharp with intelligence. Behind wire-rimmed glasses he wore a rumpled button-down shirt and dark jeans, and in his hands he carried not weapons, but atablet displaying complex genetic sequences. Kiraz Delvin Adrian called out in flawless Varkon dialect, his pronunciation so precise, it made Kira's head snap up in shock. I request parley under the doctrine of scientific exchange. The words hung in the air like an impossible puzzle. No human should know their language. No primitive species should understand Dominion protocols. Kira materialized outside her ship through matter displacement, her bio-armor adapting instantly to Earth's atmosphere. She towered over the human man, close enough to snap his neck with casual ease, yet he stood his ground with remarkable composure. You speak our tongue, Kira said in Varkon, her silver eyes narrowing as she studied his face. How? Adrienne didn't step back despite her intimidating presence. I've spent 15 years studying the linguistics of your scout transmissions. Your species isn't as secretive as you believe, Commander, and you're not as superior as you've been taught. A flicker of something surprise intrigue crossed Kira's perfect features in all her campaigns across the galaxy. No inferior species had ever addressed her with such calm confidence. Most cowered or attacked. This human did neither. You dare question the Dominion's assessment? She asked, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. I question your methods, Adrian replied, calmly activating his tablet. The screen showed comparative biological data, Baron, and human genetic structures. Side by side, you judge by strength and technology alone. But adaptation, Commander, innovation, survival against impossible odds, we excel where your species struggles. Kira's hand moved instinctively to the bow weapon at her hip. But something stayed her motion. This human's confidence, his knowledge. The way he looked at her, not with fear but with genuine scientific curiosity. It was unprecedented and troubling. Your 5 minutes expired long ago, human. Adrian smiled, and something in that expression made Kira's pulse quicken in a way she didn't understand. Then why am I still breathing, Commander? Kira circled Adrian, slowly, her enhanced senses analyzing every detail of this anomalous human. His heartbeat was elevated but steady, nervous not. Terrified, his scent carried traces of laboratory chemicals and something distinctly masculine that she found oddly compelling. Dr. Adrian Cross, she said, having accessed Earth's databases in seconds. Xenobiology, genetic engineering, theoretical alien physiology. Impressive credentials for a primitive species. Primitive. Adrian's eyebrows rose. Commander, your own genetic code shows markers of artificial enhancement. Natural evolution doesn't produce beings with your specific muscular density and neural processing speed. Someone engineered your people too. The accusation struck like a physical blow. Such knowledge was classified at the highest levels of Dominion society. Impossible, you cannot have deciphered your biosignatures from long-range scans. Adrian interrupted, tapping his tablet. I've been tracking your approach for months. Your ship's hull contains biological components that leak genetic information. Fascinating design, really. Living metal that adapts and heals. Kira's silver eyes flared with dangerous light. You dare spy on the Dominion? I dare to learn. Adrian replied steadily. Unlike your people, we don't assume. Superiority grants us wisdom with fluid grace that belied her size. Kira closed the distance between them. Her armored hand wrapped around Adrian's throat, not crushing, but demonstrating her power. Yet as her skin made contact with his, something unexpected happened. The bioarmor sensors, designed to analyze alien physiology for tactical advantage, suddenly surged with energy. Adrian's tablet, still active in his other hand, emitted a high-pitched whine as its experimental gene sequencing interfaced accidentally with Kira's technology. What Kira began, but her words were cut off as electricity arced between them. Adrian gasped as the energy coursed through both their bodies. His tablet exploded in a shower of sparks, but the damage was done. The bioscanner built into Kira's armor had been analyzing his DNA when the feedback loop occurred, creating a resonance between their genetic codes. Kira staggered. Backward, her usually perfect composure. Shattered, her armor's bio readings were going haywire, displaying impossible data. Her hand trembled as she touched her abdomen, where a warmth unlike anything she'd ever experienced was spreading. Commander Adrian's voice was thick with concern despite everything. Are you injured? Kira's voice caught. Her enhanced physiology was screaming alert. She didn't understand new cellular activity. Unprecedented genetic combinations. Her body was changing at the molecular level. What did you do to me? Adrian approached cautiously, his scientific mind racing through the possibilities, the energy feedback between your bioscanner and my genetic sequencer. It might have created some kind of artificial insemination event, but that should be impossible. Our species aren't compatible. Kira's legs gave out, and she sank to her knees for the first time in her adult life. She felt vulnerable, weak. The sensations coursing through her body were alien in ways that transcended species. They were emotions she'd been conditioned to suppress. Adrian knelt beside her without hesitation. Let me help you help, Kira. Sloth was bitter. You've contaminated me, violated the purity of Varkon genetics. My own people will. She stopped, her hand moving protectively over her stomach as realization struck. They'll execute me. Then we need to get you somewhere safe. Adrian said simply. Kira stared at him in amazement. You would help me after I came to destroy your world. Adrian's blue eyes met her silver ones with startling intensity. You're carrying a child, Kira. Maybe the first of its kind in the universe that's bigger than politics or species rivalry. Something shifted in Kira's chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with the alien life growing inside her. This human's compassion, his immediate acceptance of responsibility, his gentle use of her name rather than her title. It awakened feelings she'd thought were bred out of her people generations ago. I cannot return to Varkon, she whispered, the admission feeling like surrender. Then don't, Adrian said, extending his hand to her. Stay at least until we understand what's happening to you. Two to the baby. Kira looked at his outstretched hand, smaller than her, softer, but somehow representing strength. She'd never recognized before as alarms began sounding from her ship signaling. The Dominion's growing impatience with her delayed mission, she made a choice that would change everything. She took his hand and let him help her to her feet, their fingers intertwining in a gesture that felt both foreign and perfectly natural. The escape from Earth happened in a blur of stolen technology and desperate improvisation. Adrian had led Kira to his private research facility hidden in the Swiss mountains, where he'd been reverse engineering alien tech for years. As Dominion warships appeared in Earth's orbit, demanding their commander return, Kira made the hardest decision of her existence. She activated her ship's self-destruct sequence. They'll think it in the explosion, she explained, watching the brilliant flash light up the night sky from Adrian's observatory. It buys us time. Us? Adrian asked, his arm steadying her, as another wave of nausea, a completely foreign sensation for her species, swept through her body. I cannot do this alone. Kira admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't understand what's happening to me. That had been 3 weeks ago now. They were aboard the Meridian, a decommissioned research vessel Adrian had secretly modified with salvaged alien technology hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. They were temporarily safe from both human and VAR detection. Kira stood before the medical scanner in the ship's converted laboratory, her bioarmor replaced by loose human clothing that accommodated her changing form. The sight of her, this magnificent warrior reduced to vulnerability, stirred something protective and tender in Adriana's chest. "The readings are extraordinary," he murmured, studying the holographic display of her internal biology. "The fetus is developing at an accelerated rate, but it's stable. More than stable, it's perfect." Kira's hand moved to the subtle curve of her abdomen. After 3 weeks, the changes were becoming visible, and each day brought new sensations that left her bewildered in Varkon culture pregnancy. Clinical emotions are suppressed with Biorere, but I feel she struggled forwards. "What do you feel?" Adrienne asked, gently moving closer. "Everything." She breathed. "Joy, fear, wonder, protectiveness. Is this normal for human females?" Adrienne's heart clenched at the innocence in her question. "Very normal. Pregnancy hormones affect emotions intensely, but you're experiencing both human and VAR responses. It must be overwhelming." Kira turned to face him, her silver eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Another new experience, Adrian. What if I'm a terrible mother? My people were bred for war, for conquest. I've killed thousands. How can someone like me nurture life without thinking?" Adrian reached out and cupped her face in his hands. The gesture was gentle, reverent, and it made Kira's breath catch. "You're already protecting our child," he said softly. "You sacrificed everything, your career, your people, your entire identity to keep it safe. That's love, Kira. Pure, instinctive love. Our child," she repeated softly, the words sending warmth through her entire being. "You claim it as yours too?" "Of course I do." Adrian's thumb traced along her cheekbone, marveling at the softness of her luminescent skin. "Biologically, genetically, emotionally, it's ours." The air between them crackled, with tension that had been building for weeks. Living in close quarters, sharing meals, working together to understand her condition. Intimacy had grown naturally between them. But this moment felt different, charged. "I've never felt desire before," Kira confessed, her voice husky. "The Dominion suppresses such things, but with you, every time you touch me, every time you look at me with such gentleness." Adrienne's pulse quickened. I know I'm not human. I know I'm larger, stronger, alien to you in every way. You're beautiful." Adrienne interrupted, his voice rough with emotion. "The most beautiful being I've ever seen. Your strength doesn't intimidate me. It amazes me in the way you're changing, becoming more yourself rather than what they made you. It's incredible." Slowly, carefully, he leaned forward and pressed his lips to hers. The kiss was soft, exploratory, giving her every chance to pull away. Instead, Kira melted into him, her enhanced strength held in perfect check as she experienced her first kiss. When they broke apart, both were breathing heavily. "The baby," she whispered, uncertainty creeping into her voice, "is perfectly safe," Adrienne assured her, his medical knowledge certain on this point. "Kira, I want to be with you not just because of the child, but because of who you are, who you're becoming." Her answer came not in words but in action as she drew him close and claimed his mouth with a passion that had been suppressed her entire life. In the quiet sanctuary of their hidden ship, surrounded by stars and space, two beings from different worlds found each other completely. Later, as they lay entwined in the narrow bunk, Kira traced patterns on Adriana's chest with her fingertips. "What happens when the child is born?" she asked. "Where can we go where both our species won't see us as abominations?" Adrienne pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "We'll find a way together." The hidden research station Haven 7 drifted silently in the shadow of Titan, its biometallic hull camouflaged against the cosmic debris field. Adrienne had discovered it years ago, during a classified mission, an abandoned Varkan outpost, forgotten and perfect for their needs now. 6 weeks after their escape from Earth, it had become their sanctuary. Kira stood before the observation deck's massive viewport, her profile silhouetted against Saturn's golden rings. Her pregnancy was unmistakable, now a graceful curve that seemed to glow with its own inner light. Adrienne watched her from the doorway, still amazed by her transformation from ruthless commander to expectant mother. The morning. Sickness is getting worse, she said without turning around. Having sensed his presence with her enhanced hearing, Adrienne approached with a steaming cup of the herbal tea he'd synthesized from the station's botanical database. It should peak soon and then fade. Your body is working overtime to accommodate both human and VAR biology. Kira accepted the cup gratefully, her fingers brushing against his, in a gesture that had become as natural as breathing. I dreamed of Varkan Prime last night, she murmured. Not as it is now, but as it was before the Dominion, when my people still felt emotions freely. Tell me about it, Adrienne said, settling beside her on the cushioned bench. Gardens, everywhere, children playing instead of training, couples choosing each other for love rather than genetic compatibility. Her silver eyes grew distant. Sometimes I wonder if our child will help both our species remember what we've lost. Adriana's hand found hers, their fingers interlacing naturally. Maybe that's why this happened. Not an accident, but evolution pushing us towards something better. A sharp pain suddenly lanced through Kira's abdomen, making her gasp and double over. The cup shattered on the deck as Adrienne immediately moved to support her. Kira, what is it? I don't know, she panted. Here, enhanced physiology struggling with sensations. It had never been designed to handle everything. Feels wrong too. Intense. Adrienne helped her to the medical bay, his mind racing through possibilities. The bioscanner revealed what he'd feared. The hybrid pregnancy was entering a critical phase where human and Varan biology were conflicting rather than cooperating. The baby's neural development is accelerating beyond safe parameters, he explained, trying to keep his voice calm. We need to slow it down. Or what? Kira demanded, even through her pain maintaining the command presence that was integral to her nature. We could lose both of you. The words hung in the sterile air like a death sentence. Kira closed her eyes, her hand moving protectively over her swollen belly. What do you need me to do? I need you to trust me completely, Adrienne said, moving to prepare an injection. This ICE experimental bioregulatory serum based on your people's reproductive suppressants but modified to work with human physiology. It's never been tested. Kira didn't hesitate. Do it. As the serum took effect, the crisis passed, but it left both of them shaken. That night they lay together in the station's master quarters, Adrienne's arm wrapped protectively around Kira as she rested against his chest. I was terrified, she confessed in the darkness. Not of dying, but of losing our child, of never seeing what we've created together. Adrienne pressed his lips to her temple. You're not going to lose anything. I won't let that happen. How can you be so certain? She asked, tilting her head to look at him. Because I love you, he said simply. Both of you, and love makes us stronger than we ever imagined possible. Kira's breath caught in all her centuries of existence. No one had ever spoken those words to her. Love, she repeated, testing the word on her tongue. I thought it was weakness. The Dominion taught you that because they feared it, Adrienne replied, his hand moving to rest over hers on her belly. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. It's what made you choose our child over your empire. It's what's changing you from the inside out. As if responding to his words, the baby moved a flutter that both parents felt through Kira's stretched skin. She laughed, the sound filled with wonder and joy. It knows your voice, she marveled. Even now it responds to you. Adrienne's eyes filled with emotion as he felt his child move for the first time. Hello, little one, he whispered, leaning down to speak directly to Kira's belly. We're here, we're both here, and we love you so much. The baby settled at the sound of his voice as if comforted by the familiar vibrations. Kira looked up at Adrienne with an expression of such pure love that it took his breath away. Teach me, she whispered. Teach me how to be the mother this child deserves. You already are, Adrienne assured her, sealing the promise with a kiss that tasted of hope and infinite possibility. Outside their sanctuary, the cosmos wheeled in its ancient dance, indifferent to the miracle taking place within Haven 7's walls. Two beings from different worlds creating something entirely new, powered by a love that transcended the boundaries of species and space itself. The labor began at dawnship's time as Saturn's rings caught the distant light of Sol through the observation deck. Kira had been restless all night, her enhanced physiology preparing for something unprecedented in galactic history. Adrian monitored her vital signs while fighting his own rising panic. No medical textbook in either species covered hybrid birth. The contractions are getting stronger. Kira gasped, her usual composed demeanors shattered by waves of pain. Unlike anything her warrior training had prepared her for. Adrian, I can't. Yes, you can, he said firmly. Taking her hands in his, you're the strongest being I've ever known, you can do this. Hours passed in a blur of medical readings, coaching breaths, and quiet encouragements. As the moment approached, both parents were overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they were about to witness. I can see the head, Adrian announced, his voice thick with emotion. Kira, one more push with a final surge of effort that drew on reserves of strength she didn't know she possessed. Kira brought their child into the universe. The baby's first cry echoed through the medical bay. Strong, healthy, and utterly unique, it's a girl, Adrian whispered, tears streaming down his face as he gently cleaned their daughter. She's perfect, Kira. Absolutely perfect. The infant had her mother's luminescent skin, but softer with a pearlescent quality that seemed to shift between human flesh tones and Varan radiance. Her eyes, when they opened, were a stunning blend. Adrian's blue depth swirled with Kira's silver brightness, creating something entirely new. She's beautiful, Kira breathed, her voice filled with wonder as Adrian placed their daughter on her chest. Look how small she is. How can something so tiny contain so much possibility? The baby girl turned toward her mother's voice, one tiny hand grasping Kira's finger with surprising strength. In that moment, both parents felt the universe shift around them. What do we call her? Adrian asked. Settling beside them on the medical bed, Kira studied her daughter's face, seeing traces of both their species and features that were uniquely her own. Zarul. Luna, she said softly. Star moon in both our languages, she bridges our worlds. As if approving of her name, baby Zaruna made a contented sound and nestled closer. To her mother's warmth, the three of them remained that way for hours, a new family, learning each other's rhythms. But their peaceful moment was interrupted by the station's proximity alarms. Adrian reluctantly moved to the command center, his blood running cold at what the sensors revealed. Kira, he called urgently, we have visitors. A Dominion patrol fleet had found them 3 massive warships that dwarfed their hidden station. But more surprisingly, a human exploration vessel hung alongside them, displaying diplomatic flags. The communication came simultaneously from both fleets. On one screen, Admiral Thane Kerr of the Dominion demanded the return of their corrupted commander. On another, Captain Rodriguez of Earth's first interstellar diplomatic mission requested safe passage to negotiate. They've been searching for months, Kira realized. Holding Zar Luna protectively, both our species want to claim or destroy what we've created. Adrian's jaw set with determination. Then it's time to show them what we've actually accomplished. Together they activated the station's communication array. The image that broadcast to both fleets was revolutionary Kira, still glowing with the strength of recent motherhood, standing beside Adrian as he held their sleeping daughter. I am Commander Kira Zuth, she began, her voice carrying all her old authority, but tempered with new wisdom. I speak not as a Dominion officer, but as a mother. This child represents the future, not conquest or submission, but cooperation. Impossible, Admiral Thinker snarled. You have contaminated yourself beyond redemption. Have I, Kira challenged, or have I evolved beyond your limitations? Captain Rodriguez leaned forward on his screen. What are you proposing? Adrian stepped closer to the camera, his arm around Kira's waist. We're proposing that fear has kept our species apart long enough. Our daughter proves that cooperation isn't just possible, it creates something better than either office alone. As if summoned by the tensions oral, Luna opened her eyes, those impossible blue-silver orbs seeming to look directly through the cameras at the assembled fleets. The infant's gaze was calm, intelligent, ancient, and utterly unafraid. Something shifted in both Admiral Thinker and Captain Rodriguez's expressions. Here was living proof that the universe held more possibilities than their military doctrines allowed. What do you want? The Admiral asked. Quietly, sanctuary, Kira replied. Time for our daughter to grow and eventually the chance to show both our peoples. That strength comes not from dominance but from unity. Months later, Haven 7 had become something unprecedented. A neutral zone where human and Vaughn scientists work, Together, studying the implications of hybrid biology, Zeril Luna thrived in this environment, surrounded by beings from two worlds who were learning to see each other as allies rather than enemies. As Adrian watched his daughter take her first steps between her mother's outstretched arms and a Veron genetic specialist, who'd become an unlikely friend, he marveled at how much had changed. She's going to reshape the galaxy. Kira murmured, joining him at the observation deck where their journey had begun. Shield ready. As Adrian replied, pulling his wife close. They'd married in a ceremony that blended both cultures, officiated by human and Veron representatives who'd never imagined such cooperation possible. Below them, their daughter babbled, happily in sounds that seemed to blend both languages naturally around them. Former enemies worked as colleagues, and beyond them the stars wheeled on, no longer divided between human and Veron space, but united in the infinite possibility of what they might build together. The invasion that was meant to end in minutes had instead begun a new age, and at its heart stood a small family who'd proven that love could indeed conquer worlds, not through force, but through the simple revolutionary act of seeing the universe through each other's eyes.